Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar on how to leverage partnerships and grow your GED and ABE programs. And of course, this would, work with any program really that you're overseeing itself. Anyway, first of all, I'm Dr. Jeff Arnott, and you may remember me. I am the retired executive director of all the workforce programs for the Osceola County School Districts for 3 years. And before that, I was the director of adult ed for Brevard County for 8 years. And even before then, I was the oversaw the adult education programs down in the Florida Keys for 4 years. Definitely want to thank IPDA for this opportunity, and also thank our partners at the Florida Department of Education as well for of that. They're doing a great job, and we just want to. I'm here to help share the great news that's happening not only here in Florida, but other things that I've seen. Next slide here. Give me 1 second. Yes, first of all, if you have any questions, you'll have an opportunity to ask them throughout the presentation. And all you have to do is just hit the Q&A on the top, and I will see them and I'll answer them toward the end or maybe through the event itself. Of course, you only be in listen mode, and you can see the whole presentation again if you wish. It will be recorded and archived and available on the IPDA website within 48 hours itself. Well, anyway, let's get into the nuts and bolts of this particular thing. Okay, first of all, when you start looking at who to partner with, and by the way, these tips will work regardless if you're a first year director, seasoned director, if you're a program small, large, if you're in rural, if you're an urban district, wherever, a lot of these things will work with no problem whatsoever. But basically, you have to define a few things. Who is a partner? One, is it an employer? Is it an organization? An organization could be like the Urban League or some type of community nonprofit. Is it a work-based learning opportunity, which basically means is it maybe working with apprenticeship programs or giving your students themselves an opportunity to learn a little bit about the economy they live in? Is it a donor? Is it a vendor? And by the way, vendors can be very, very, very valuable, especially when it comes to doing pilots and everything else. Is it alumni? Those folks that graduate from your program that can advocate for you later on. And of course, partnerships can evolve. And yes, the answer to all those is yes, they all can be partners themselves. The only thing I ask, the only thing I've learned over the years is use what I call the smell test to make sure that those folks are sound, moral, ethical, legit, and legal. And of course, some of those terms can be different from place to place. I know I've had a conversation with folks before about taking money from a casino boat. Some places would consider that moral, some would not. I'm sure they would have no problem taking that money in Las Vegas, but maybe in another place it could be considered not to those ethical things. Whenever you have a question, always ask. That's always been my mantra. And also always try to get to yes. And also remember, no partner is too small. Basically, don't dismiss them, and none is too large. Don't be afraid of them. Basically, each district in college is unique. I think that's one thing we all recognize. And what do you need to do to build these partners? Remember, each college and district is unique in nature for many, many different reasons. It could be the leadership of the place. It could be their mission. It could be the time of the year. It could be all kinds of different things that play into that, into those things. They also serve different economies. A community college, for instance, may be serving a large urban area, and maybe there's a school district serving a beach community, or like the Florida Keys, which is basically relying on maybe fishing and of course tourism itself. Also, different leadership styles and structures. There may be a different way that you report to the top, and not to say that's good or bad, but you just got to assume they will be different from place to place. They have unique priorities. Maybe they got this big, huge grant that's driving a lot of the conversations at that particular district or that school when you're involved. So yes, that is a unique, maybe a once in a lifetime opportunity. So it has politics to navigate. There's no easy way to get through that, but every program, regardless of what year it is, regardless of all that, there's always board members that come and go, leadership that comes and goes, and sometimes you have to start at the beginning, but that's something that you have to understand. This is what a program leader must do. And of course, if you're a teacher or something, or a teacher leader, of course, these apply to you as well. This is something that everybody must do. You must always advocate for your program or your classroom to your supervisors. Let them know the good things that you're doing and how you're serving the community, especially if you have new leadership. I don't know how many times I've had to go in and myself personally and just tell the people what is going on in our programs. And by the way, it's part of the long game. I've had this one superintendent in particular gave us quite a bit of money one time just because I think we just took the time to tell her how how our programs worked and how we definitely affect the school district and the local economy. So it does have a payoff. So definitely always keep everyone, don't be the best kept secret in town. Be the best known entity in town. Also, get to know your community and business partners well. And when I say that, get to know them at a personal level. Get to know them as what makes them click, what makes them what they're passionate about, and basically build your want list or your wish list all around what they find is important. If they're really really big into like after school programming, maybe a family literacy program is something that you could partner with. So get to know them. And also another thing is to never go ask them for money or ask them for something straight out the chute. Always take time to find out how they can help you before you ask. Also, make partnerships your highest priority. I always personally made it my number one priority behind the security and safety of students and staff. Building those partnerships so your students have a voice in the economy and also have opportunities in the economy, I think is very, very vital. So make it your highest priority because those partnerships not only let people know what your program's about, but it also gives opportunities for them as well for the business. Also, create partnerships, as we mentioned before, that gives students that gives them options and benefits. So if you have a variety of partners, maybe if a student wants to go into the military, you've built those military partnerships so you can maybe bring those recruiters in to talk to that particular student. If they want to go into manufacturing, you have manufacturing partners. They want to go into real estate even, you have real estate partners. You have a group of people in a whole community that's to help your community of students. So don't just go with one or two, get as many as you can. And also, most importantly, ask the students what's important to them before building partnerships. I've seen this happen. This happened to me. You create this ecosystem for something that nobody wants. So make sure that you listen to what they find is important, and also what's important to the businesses themselves. Also, strategically map out what you want your partners to do before approaching them. Have a good idea of what you're going to ask them, but maybe not ask them up front right off the bat unless they ask you. Have ready to have that ready to answer that question. But there's nothing more I see awkward than going into a meeting to talk about partnerships and they ask you what they can do for it and you have no answer. So make sure that you strategically find out how they can help you out and how you can help them out as well. I think that's important to, talking about stuff, like for instance, our GED students, they are ready to go to work immediately after they graduate, little things like that. Think about what their needs are and maybe build your IETs, your GED and your ABE IETs around strategically what an employer wants. So those students definitely have an opportunity to advance themselves. All right, how did I get there? How do you get there? Basically, these little things right here, join and leverage your chambers, build partnerships with private companies. I don't know why it did that. Partner with community organizations. These are things I've already said, and advocate to your local governments and your own governing body. Yes, going to Tallahassee is important. Going to Washington, D.C. is important. No question about that. But those local folks in your communities can actually do just as much for you. Plus, at the end of the day, you never know where those people may be going. They may be headed to Tallahassee themselves one day to be a legislature. And of course, hire the best people to take care of the grind, I guess is a good way to do it. Before you so you can really spend time yourself dealing with community partnerships, especially if you are the leader itself. Alrighty, leveraging chambers. First thing to do is attend as many chamber events as possible. They will advocate for you. Hold on one second, folks. I gotta, my, sorry about this. Sorry about that. I thought I fixed that problem. Anyway, attend as many chamber events as possible. They would advocate for you. Yes, usually chambers do want some type of fee to join them. However, since you are a government agency or a school district or a college, it tends to be fairly cheap and somewhat affordable. And even in better news, there is a good chance that your superintendent or your college president has already paid those dues for you to attend these events. Now, they may ask you to buy a meal or something for yourself or something, but the way I kind of look at it, you got to eat anyway. But as a whole, they will advocate for you. I know in particular, in fact, I'll call them by name in Osceola County. They were wonderful. I would meet with their folks once a month just to talk about everything from what's coming into town, what people are coming, which people are good, which companies are great. They're almost like little swamis. They can kind of forecast for you what is going to happen for you, and they'll also match you up with people that will help you. And this is not only true with your local chambers, this is true with the Florida Chamber, and of course, don't ignore those the niche ones as well, like maybe the Hispanic Chamber or something of those natures. They're all important, and they all would be more than happy to advocate for you. That's their job. Also, they can introduce you to a number of businesses of all sizes, including hidden gems. I remember in Osceola County, we had the One Fat Frog reached out to us through the chamber. And first of all, I had to find out who the One Fat Frog was. But the One Fat Frog was actually the maker of most of the food trucks in the United States. They actually make them. Every time you see a food truck, there's a good chance there's a One Fat Frog logo on that trailer. So once again, a hidden gem. Boat manufacturer in Osceola County was a good one. We have some good ones in Brevard County. So there is a lot of hidden gems, and a lot of those came through the chamber itself. The chambers know the right events to attend. We would attend stuff like literally like the Swamp Cabbage Festival in Osceola County, things like that. And by the way, yes, you're going to chamber events maybe to recruit students at these events outside, but you're also there to develop partnerships with people as well, people that can help you with their students, anywhere from volunteering in your programs or maybe even donating to your programs or actually building employment pipelines for your students. So if they tell you to go to an event, go to it. Also, speak at the chamber events. They're always looking for people to speak. So why shouldn't it be you? It's always a good day when you have the opportunity to talk about your programs. And by the way, a lot of companies have no idea what real adult education programs do. They think it's the GED, and I've even told they think it's like knitting classes, maybe conversational Spanish, things like that. But they really don't know the whole aspect of maybe ESL, IETs. They definitely don't know anything about that, how you can work with apprenticeship programs, how you can articulate with technical colleges. There's a lot of major things that you can bring up that actually could be beneficial to your students and, of course, your program and to them. Also, sponsor if you can, if you're able to, sponsor their events. Yes, that it's pay to play to a certain extent, but if you can sponsor their events one way or another, it's always worth it. I think that is good bang for your buck. It really, really is. Also, if you need an advisory board, and this is more on the career and technical education side of the house, if you're one of those combo folks, if you need to establish some type of advisory board of some sort, the chamber will help you do so. In fact, not only that, they would be honored to do so. I have never had a chamber did not want to get their members out to help on an advisory board. In fact, they've gotten us a couple jams, to be honest with you. So look at them as for, especially if you're trying to, freshen up your board a little bit, get some new members in, some couple people leave, you need that, go to them. They could probably give you somebody else with a different point of view that could be helpful to your program. And also your own staff. It's just not a one person job working with your chambers. If you can get a whole bunch of people out there working at the chamber events, you definitely get a lot more done. Other things too to do to promote your programs. This is more on the promoting side. If you can, get as many t-shirts and polo shirts as possible with the person's name on it, like Miss Smith, teacher, Miss Smith, assistant principal, and of course the logo of the school on it, and definitely put the words adult education in it. You'll be surprised how many students you'll get by just doing that alone. Other thing is staff members that are out there working with the chambers or the community for that matter. If you can swing it, in fact, I would go out of my way to try to make it happen. Make sure they have business cards and make sure they have so they can go out and promote themselves as well. One of the best stories I ever had is when I used to tell my assistant all the time, if anybody comes knocking on the door with a check, you let them in. I don't care who's in here in this meeting, and so forth. Well, one day that happened, and she goes, Dr. Arnott, we got a person out here with a big fat check. I said, well, you know the rule. Let's talk to him. It was actually a real estate agent that was bringing us a check for about $5,000 because one of my teachers actually bought a house, and she wanted the money because he had this thing like, you buy from us, we'll give money to your favorite, your charity. She wanted to give money to our adult ed program. So he brought us the big check and so forth. And of course, I let the teacher spend the money the way she thought was appropriate. She wanted to spend it for GED scholarships. And I said, sure. You found the money. You get to say where it goes, as long as it passes the smell test, as we said earlier. Also, leverage community partners. Sorry about that again. Also, leverage community partners itself. And here's a couple partnerships that really worked by me just spending time talking to individuals in the community. And you see the disclaimer at the bottom. I like to eat, and I'll admit it, I can say it now. Sometimes I would struggle getting to work on time. So one way I would do it is I would meet business partners out for breakfast. And it was a good thing. I had the flexibility to do it, which was great. I know not everyone has that, but I was able to meet with these business partners and so forth over breakfast, away from the distractions of work, away from their distractions of work, and able to really get a lot done. For instance, one of my former districts actually received $500,000 from CareerSource to start pre-apprenticeship programs and so forth. We were the first in the state of Florida to actually do that. And that was money that CareerSource gave us. Once again, really sat down and talked to the people who worked there regularly. And we would have breakfast talking about really anything. But a lot of times when it came to these type of things, they would say, well, let's go talk to Jeff. He has a knack for this stuff. He'll make it work and he'll follow through. So getting those people to trust you like that, where they think of you first, that's the place you want to be. Also, we partnered with Valencia College and Youth Build. Youth Build, and by the way, congratulations to the Youth Build. If Valencia, if anybody's on there, I saw they got the Youth Build grant again the other day. We were teaching the GED classes for them in Kissimmee while the students were working on some short-term training stuff. Youth Bill's been doing IAT for years, but once again, it was a great partnership and it really worked out well. We got all the FTE, they paid for the teacher, the GED teacher, they paid for the GED testing. The only thing we did was just win. That's the only thing we did. And not only that, the real winners were the students, and you'll see that in a case study here toward the end. We raised $75,000 from the Central Florida Urban League. They were running around asking people if anybody wanted to teach some of the Microsoft and small business certification classes. We eventually turned them into IETs. At first, this was right when IETs were coming out. We were unsure how to do it, so we did it as like short-term training and so forth. But we turned it into a nice family literacy program, and that's $75,000. I believe the folks at Osceola are still spending that money. It paid for a lot of the infrastructure. It paid for a lot of the classes. classes, books, certifications, teacher salary, and the whole 9 yards, and really changed some lives. There was at least 3 people in that I know that got advanced in their job on that first round. And also, it was so successful that Governor DeSantis actually sent down the lottery secretary with the Urban League to check it out, because look at some alternatives to potentially for scholarships for students themselves. This is one of my favorites. The Real Church over in Brevard County, old Pastor Wash in Brevard County, helped a fundraiser and launched a prom for our students. He came to my office one day and he goes, "Jeff, I want to do a prom for your students." I said, "What do you need from me, sir?" I said, "I just need to borrow your gym and just let the students know about it." And we did. Over 150 people showed up, and they did. They brought all the food. They got the DJ. Everyone had a blast. In fact, that's a tradition I know Lori is still doing in Brevard County, but she's actually scaled it up a little bit to more of a gala type of situation. But still, once again, it really got attention to people in the community about adult ed, especially from the faith-based community itself. Also, Eastern Florida State College, our partners over in Brevard County, gave each one of our GED graduates a free class once they transitioned over to their school, which we thought was wonderful. And actually, they would come with the certificates on graduation day and give it to the students themselves when they went over there. And I know that they got a lot about that. And it all started once again with breakfast meetings, one-on-one discussions, and we kept them regularly scheduled and kept them stuff. I'm the type, I honestly believe if you want to keep these things rolling, you have to continuously the talk. Sometimes they're short term, sometimes they're long term, sometimes they come out of the blue. But one thing is for sure, you must, stay engaged with your partners if you wanted to stay engaged. Here, local government partnerships. Here are some good ones right here. My former boss, the superintendent, called me down to her office one day and told me that she was going to give us a bunch of money this was mostly coronavirus money, from the county commissioners, and she felt that it would be perfect for adult education students and parents to get industry certifications, and stuff like that. I literally cried that day. I've never had a superintendent come to me and give me that much money for what she thought was important, and stuff. And yeah, and she felt that, hey, if their parents are skilling up, guess what? Their youngins in school are going to skill up as well. So that's kind of where we came up with the term skill up Osceola back then. So we think that's definitely was something very good for them. And the county commissioners also gave a lot of money to Osceola Technical College and Valencia College as well to try to lift up the community as well. We worked with the state legislature, Senator Hugel, and a few others to build a new training center in Brevard County, with the Florida legislature. Now, if you want to do this, definitely go through your county lobbyist and all those wonderful things like that. But if you have a real good case, there's a real good chance that you could actually get some of that. But that does, once again, it takes a lot of schmoozing and it takes a lot of relationship building, and getting to know the legislatures literally by a first name basis. If they see what you're doing and doing great stuff, it's good. Also, and I know I say it in here later, make sure you invite all these legislatures to your graduations and so forth. Also, we received $2 million from the U.S. Congress for 2 workforce projects. Now, this was more for the K-12 side of the house, in Osceola County. One was for our business academy at Point Siena High, and one was for a work-based learning project, with one of our other high schools itself. Our congressman definitely came through for us on this one. So you can see you can get money from local, federal, and of course the state. Takes a little work, but once again, yeah, you won't get there unless you really start to try to build relationships with these folks. Remember, they will never know where those involved, politics end up eventually. Yeah, some of these people you talk to could end up being a United States senator one day. They could end up being governor one day, president one day. You just never know. So it's always good to build a positive relationship with these people, while you're out there doing it. Because, like I said, friends, nothing wrong with them taking you with you. Also, remember, a majority of the elected officials support workforce and adult education. I've never met anybody who didn't support getting people back to work and stuff. So remember that. Always link it to jobs. You'll always be good. Also, build a legendary team. I think this one's important too, to free up your time for build partnerships. One, hire a team with diverse experiences. Hire a balanced team. Sorry again. Legendary team. And the reason I say that is because they will take a lot of these things. If you're the leader of the building or, work on the leadership team that take up a lot of your energy and your time while you're trying to build this wonderful ecosystem of partners, build a team around their strengths. And by the way, let them do their job. I'm a horrible micromanager. So I had to let them make sure they had to hire the right team to do their jobs. So, and also put resources into community relations, marketing, and student recruitment. You have to put money into it. That's one of those things you just can't let do by yourself. And also assign projects to teams, encourage collaboration, and make sure that there is money for a marketing team. Make it a priority. It will fill up more time for you for your passions and leveraging your strengths. Mine was building community relations. And also when you are hiring people, don't look for family. I always told people every time I interview them, I said, I'm looking for Tom Brady's. I'm looking to build a high-powered organization. And by the way, if you're winning and having a good time, family comes along anyway. Now you have the students. Now what? Use your partners to help. Now you have the students. Now what? Use partners to help your students reach their goals. Get to know your K-12 partners. And the reason I say that is, especially if you work with high schools, go talk to each one of the high school principals one on one. Yeah, you can swipe the deck by go talking at a principals meeting or something like that. But a lot of times, they may be afraid to ask questions in front of their peers. So I always go in and talk to the high school principal one on one, or the alternative ed principal, just to tell them, this is the time you should adult ed students. This is the time you should use adult ed, and give them tools to help promote your program as well when a student does need to come to you. And also you be there to defunct any myths, because it's surprisingly how much talk gets out there about adult ed. Oh, they don't take them, they kick them out, blah blah blah. That's a good way for you to have a conversation with them, just to make sure that they understand what your purpose is and what you're doing. I got to know them. I brought them. I'd sponsor their athletic events. I would make sure, of course, I wouldn't necessarily sponsor the GED. I might put in adult ESOL, like in a lot of the high school football programs and so forth. Show my love and support for the school by doing that type of stuff. So yeah, get to know them, become partners with them. They will send you students at the right time. Also, double down on career navigators and so forth. I think it's important that the more people you have, if you can afford it, in fact, find a way to afford it, to put more people out there that's working in the community that can talk to students about their careers and getting going the right place, is a wonderful thing. I think for so many years for adult ed, we did a great job of showing students how to finish, how to get out, but really not what to do there. In fact, my dissertation actually talks about that. Students have a general idea of what they want to do when they graduate, but really don't know how to get there. That was pretty much my conclusion. That's one thing that students need to know is, what's next for them. And what's even more powerful is if you can build that relationship right then, so the student already knows the people in the community that can help them out even before they graduate, with work-based learning opportunities, maybe part-time jobs, expose them to it, talking to recruiters. That's a beautiful day. So definitely do that. Also build a schedule around the needs of your students and your employers. If that there's one school district I know of, it starts some adult ed classes at 10 o'clock at night. And I'm thinking, well, that's pretty aggressive. And that's basically because of the way the work shift worked for that one particular factory. This is not in the state of Florida, but once again, that's definitely doubling down and building a schedule around the needs of the employers. And I asked him if he had a tough time finding teachers. He said, no, he found more teachers to do that one than any of them, which was kind of odd. Anyway, also establish a culture of push-in services. I interviewed a couple students even for my dissertation. I'd ask them, hey, we got career counselors and school counselors and so forth over there. You should go talk to them. And they said, no, this is what two students told me. The last time I went into a front office, I got kicked out of school, or they trying to charge me money or something of that nature. So that's when I was a big wake up call for me. How do we get our career counselors in with the students? So we did a nice push in thing where the counselors would go talk to the students, while they're in class, and so forth like that to really get so they get to know who these folks are at an individual basis, that they're there to be friends, not enemies. And also build a strong classroom culture. I think that's one thing. The reason I say that is because if you have a strong classroom culture, all my marketing studies I've ever done shows that the number one way students come to see you is through word of mouth. So if you have a lot of happy students going out there and telling everybody in the community how wonderful your program is, and the business community how wonderful your program is, the more money that's coming your way. That is called free advertising. And of course, free advertising goes the other way too. If it doesn't have a strong culture, they'll tell people go somewhere else. So that's the reason why I think that's very important. And also, most importantly as well, listen to your employers, the students, of what they think is important in these partnerships themselves. It's more than chicken burgers, from Chick-fil-A, which by the way, we used to take them all the time and I love them. But still, at the end of the day, it's definitely more than just gift cards stuff. It's more about sustainability for the students, your business partners, and of course, your program itself. And use your students and your alumni to advocate for your program, and not just during legislative time and so forth like that. Have them go speak at chamber events. And by the way, it's a great workforce skill as well. Have them speak at chamber events, maybe to new students coming in. There's many things that these students can do. That can help your program out. Train them, make sure that they're equipped with the right information, and so forth. And sometimes that takes a little time. But I know COABE, for instance, has a whole piece on their website about how to prepare your students to be advocates for your program. Take advantage of it. They are your best sellers, and they're rock stars too. Why not? Also, team assignments. Force yourself when it comes to working with K-20 partners. Force yourself in their ecosystem. Help them create articulations. Visit traditional high schools. Visit your state college and tech colleges. Make sure you visit them. If an adult education student can participate in workplace opportunities, be a part of make those business partners part of your soft skills trainings. I could tell you what businesses want in soft skill training is almost sometimes completely different than what we're teaching. Make sure you listen to them. Also, force yourself onto their workforce committees. Get to know your local apprenticeship programs, and that's pre-apprenticeship programs, your unions, all those type of things. Get to know your career source people also, and have these individuals help them build your IETs with their expertise. I would never, ever, ever, you can take me to the bank on this one, never, ever, ever build an IET program without hearing what industry has to say first. You have to have their opinion in order to make it happen itself. So definitely work with your K-20 partners to help build your ecosystem. They are a good partner. Basically, and we talked about this one, hire more career navigators to help navigate business partners. Happy students will tell others about your programs. Relationship management is essential. Also, expand orientations to include workforce readiness. Have them attend as many community events as possible. Also, have go into the classrooms and place the career labs themselves in a desirable location on your campus with heavy foot traffic. Don't put them in the back portables or something. Make sure that it's there. And also combine your career lab with your media center. Sometimes media centers have had to evolve over the past years. Why not have it? It's a big space if you have such of a thing. And of course, have them organize job fairs and stuff for the public, where the public can come in. Obviously, talk to your security offices and so forth, where the community can come in and learn about, come for job fairs, but your students have the opportunity to do that as well. All righty, strengthen your current business relationships as well. Sorry about this. Strengthen, it takes a lot of time and effort, basically, is the bottom line. You'll have to educate partners about adult education and their role in the economy. Most employers don't know that much about adult education, period. So it does take time for you to do it. No one's going to do it for you, so you have to do it yourself. Starting offering pre-apprenticeship programs and IETs around state needs. And also, when you do promote these your own programs, make sure you leverage the tools from the state of Florida and also COABE. There's some great stuff out there on Educate and Elevate, and of course, the Get There campaign. They did it for a reason, to help you out. So definitely make sure that you look at those tools as well as you go out there and educate partners about it. Plus, they'll have the latest data and stuff as well. Also, to build a soft skills program with partner input. Take time to listen to your partners and employers and have a team help you maintain these relationships. These can be your assistant principals. These can even be the folks that clean your building. Sometimes they can actually be just as powerful of a tool to promote your program as anybody out there. So make sure you don't dismiss anybody when it comes to someone who can help maintain relationships for you within the community themselves. And you must take time to do it, as we talked about it as well, especially if you're the program or project leader. You must take that time to do it and invite all these folks, your business partners, your legislatures, your boss, school board of trustees, the whole 9 yards, to your graduation and other high profile events like the job fairs, apprenticeship fairs, if you have a technical center, your nurses pinnings, things like that, and so forth like that. And also tour their facilities, have them tour yours. Make sure that you take time to have them come over and see your program, and also make them feel important to learn about their programs as well. So you can have those conversations with your staff, and of course your Stephen, your students, about, this company over here has all this type of stuff. It's really good stuff. So make sure that you do that. Also, make sure you do a deep dive into your schedule. Make sure it's flexible, and do this with your stakeholders. And there's a couple of examples right there. Morning classes, live instruction, open classes in the afternoons, create registered pre-apprenticeships with apprenticeship partners, of course. Schedule some days for IETs if you have to embed them separately. Also expand night and online options if you think those are a thing. And also look at your schedule. Could you do 2 days a week, 3 days a week, 5 days a week, open lab? Basically build a schedule that works around your actual thing, your actual place. Here's a case study that we did. This is a case study I'm throwing up there. Our partnership we have with Valencia College and Alco itself as well. Basically, this was part of the Youth Build program where the Department of Labor awarded Valencia $1.5 million for the program. And if you're not familiar with this particular program itself, it actually helps students learn something in the construction trades while they're working on their GED. They mostly go for WIOA youth crowd, the 16 to 24-year-old crowd who've already dropped out of school, those type of things. Get them the skill and get them that. Our first year with the program, we had 68 kids we served in 21-22. 68 either got their GED or their industry certification or both. That is an IET that everybody wants right there. Also, Alco received the NRS performance, which, by the way, 68 students getting their GED helps your performance look really, really good. Valencia paid the student fees, testing, and the cost of the teacher, and Valencia took care of the short-term, basically, IE training and logistics, and they also had medical assisting as well. It really wasn't a true IET per se, but it definitely was for short-term training and the students of that. But I know they were trying to build it to go that way. It all became possible because I approached Valencia with a solution. They were looking for a GED partner, and I went in there and talked to them about it. And it actually worked out really, really well. Kudos to my former team, and also kudos for Valencia for really changing these students' lives. It really was a nice thing. Also, don't forget to check your websites and social media as well. It's very important that these are up to date. When I travel the country and really work with programs, I've noticed some of their websites are shot. Make sure yours is up and running beautifully. And also make sure your social media sites are up and running as well. And make sure they're up to date with pictures of students, not just staff and stuff like that. Make sure sure it's there. Make sure your websites are cell phone friendly. Also, post stories and pictures of partners in action. This is a good way to reach your partners, especially on Twitter and LinkedIn. Make sure you share your social media sites with your business partners. I used to tell them that they had to follow my social media pages if I was going to a contract with them. So make sure that they do that, and of course, follow them as well. And if you don't have a social media presence, get one. It'll basically get one, and make sure you use hashtags and make sure it's posted frequently. And those are the sites I recommend: LinkedIn, Facebook, X, and Instagram. They all have different purposes, but nevertheless, they are there. Anyway, I apologize once again for whatever happened to my PowerPoint. I thought I had it fixed. I'm having to go back and you go back and uncheck that box for the thing. But anyway, once again, there's the email address. You can email me through IPDAY and it'll come to me. So definitely don't be afraid to ask, reach out if you have any questions about partnerships or how to start one, or if you have questions about it. Also, let's give IPDAY your feedback here as well. And John, we got this thing up here. So there's the poll. And I want to thank you once again for attending today's webinar.